the swing set. The sun bled gold across Oak Creek Park, that magical hour when the world softens at the edges. Long shadows stretched like ink spills from the trees, and the laughter of the last few children still playing echoed in the warm, late afternoon air. Amidst it all, Chloe was in her element, a high priestess at the altar of her tripod. She adjusted the lens of her camera, her focus absolute, framing the old, slightly rusted swing set that stood as the playground's silent heart. Her phone buzzed, the sound an unwelcome intrusion. She answered on speaker, her eyes never leaving the viewfinder. "Hey Liam, what's up?" "Just checking in," a voice crackled from her phone's speaker. "You still at that park? It's gonna get dark soon." "That's the point," Chloe said, a hint of artistic pride in her voice. "I want to get some long exposure shots of the playground under the stars. The contrast of childhood joy and empty night. It's for my Abandoned Spaces series. It'll be amazing," Lem sighed on the other end of the line. Abandoned Spaces sounds creepy. Go Home Before It Gets Weird sounds like a better series. Seriously, that place has a reputation. Chloe scoffed, finally pulling her eye from the camera. "Every old park has a reputation, Liam. It's just local folklore to scare kids. Don't worry, I've got my tripod doubles as a weapon." Hilarious. "Just ... be careful. Okay. Call me when you're done." "Will do, Mom," she teased, and hung up. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, the last of the families packed up and left, their voices fading into the distance. Soon, the only person left in Oak Creek Park was Chloe. The warm gold bled into a cool, bruised twilight. With a low hum, the automatic park lamps flickered on, casting pools of lonely orange light. Chloe was lost in her work, the rhythmic click of her shutter the only sound she made. She focused on the swing set, its 2 empty seats hanging perfectly still. She took a photo. Reviewing the image on her camera's small screen, she didn't notice it at first, but when she looked up, she saw that one of the swings was now moving. It swayed gently, a silent, rhythmic back and forth. She glanced at the trees. Not a single leaf stirred. There was no wind. A frown creased her brow. It must be leftover momentum, she told herself, from a child who was just playing on it. She waited for it to stop, and slowly it did. She raised her camera again, pressing her eye to the viewfinder. The instant she did, the swing began to move again, this time swinging higher, its chains letting out the faintest creak. This was strange. She walked over, her boots crunching on the gravel, and stopped the swing with her hand. The metal chain was cold. Unnaturally so. She gave it a small push, confirming it was just a normal swing, and walked back to her tripod, a seed of unease planted in her gut. By now, the sky was a deep, star-pricked indigo. Full darkness had fallen. Chloe tried to focus, but her eyes kept darting to the now-still swing set. That's when she heard it. A sound that didn't belong. The faint, happy giggle of a child. It was distant, yet seemed to come from all around her at once. She froze, pulling the headphones from her ears. "Hello," she called out, her voice sounding small and thin in the vast quiet. "Is someone there?" "The park is closed." Only the chirping of crickets answered. It was just the wind, she told herself, or a sound carried from a nearby house. But her hands were trembling. She turned back to her camera, deciding to take a few more shots and then leave. She panned across the playground, the slide, the merry-go-round, and finally back to the swing set. As she looked through the lens, the world seemed to grow colder, the colors desaturated, and for a single heart-stopping moment, she saw her grow, a young girl, translucent and shimmering, sat on the swing, looking directly into the camera. The image was there and gone in a digital hiccup, a corrupted frame in reality. Chloe gasped, pulling back from the camera as if burned. She stared at the swing. It was empty. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She looked through the viewfinder again, frantically panning. Nothing. "Okay, time to go," she whispered, her voice tight with fear. "Definitely time to go." She began packing her gear with frantic, clumsy movements. She shoved her camera into its bag and set it down, turning to collapse her tripod. When she turned back, the bag was gone. Her eyes darted around in panic until she saw it sitting 10 feet away, right at the edge of the sandpit, beneath the swings. Her blood ran cold. It couldn't have moved. She was no longer skeptical. She was terrified. Abandoning the tripod, she bolted for the park entrance. She reached the large rattan gate she had come through and pulled. It wouldn't budge. A heavy, rusted chain was looped through the bars, secured by an ancient-looking padlock that gleamed dully in the moonlight. It hadn't been there before. She was trapped. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers shaking too much to work it properly at first. When she finally lit up the screen, 2 words confirmed her fate: no service. She rattled the gate, screaming for help into the empty street, but her cries were swallowed by the night. Then, one by one, the park lights began to flicker erratically, with a series of loud pops. They went out, plunging the park into a profound darkness, lit only by the cold, indifferent light of the moon. Defeated, she turned back to face the park, a landscape of menacing silhouettes. "Don't go," a soft, echoing whisper slithered through the air. "Stay and play." Chloe spun around, her eyes wide with terror. A flicker of movement by the slide. "Who are you?" she cried. "What do you want?" In answer, the merry-go-round began to spin, slowly at first, then faster and faster, its metal frame groaning in a high-pitched, tortured squeal. In the center of the spinning blur, the girl from the camera appeared, more solid now, but still shimmering like a heat haze. She stood perfectly still as the world spun violently around her. She pointed a small, pale finger at Chloe. "Play with me." Chloe stumbled backward and ran, scrambling into the small wooded area at the edge of the park. She crouched behind a large oak tree, trying to muffle her ragged breaths. The squeal of the merry-go-round stopped abruptly. The silence that followed was even more terrifying. Then she heard it. The crunch of small feet on dry leaves, getting closer and closer. The crunching stopped right behind her tree. Chloe squeezed her eyes shut, a silent prayer on her lips. A child's voice whispered directly in her ear, "Found you." She screamed and bolted from her hiding spot, running blindly back out into the open, her instincts pulling her toward the epicenter of it all. The swing set, she was cornered. The ghost of the girl stood before her, fully visible now. She looked like a normal child in a simple dress, but her eyes were dark, hollow pits of shadow, and her form flickered at the edges. "It's my turn to push," the ghost said, her voice flat. The empty swing beside her flew forward with violent force, narrowly missing Chloe's head. "Please, just leave me alone," Chloe pleaded, backing away. Her foot hit something hard and metallic buried at the base of the swing set's support pole. She looked down, frantically brushing away the dirt and leaves. It was a small, tarnished bronze plaque. Her fingers traced the engraved letters. "In loving memory of Lily Ann Peterson, 1988 to 1996. May she swing forever among the stars." Chloe looked from the plaque to the ghostly girl. Lily, her name was Lily. A wave of understanding washed over her, mingling with the terror. "You died here," she whispered. The ghost's angry expression faltered, melting into one of profound, bottomless sadness. A single black tear rolled down her spectral cheek. "They all left," Lily said, her voice now just that of a lonely child. "Mummy, Daddy, everyone. They stopped playing. It's so quiet now." The ghost wasn't just malicious, she was alone. An idea, desperate and strange, sparked in Chloe's mind. I'm sorry, Lily," she said, her voice gentle. "I can't stay, but I don't have to leave you here alone." Chloe slowly reached for the camera bag she had dropped nearby. The ghost watched her, wary. Chloe pulled out her camera. "I'm a photographer," she explained, her hands still shaking. "I take pictures so people don't forget. Can I take your picture? That way you won't be forgotten. You'll be part of my story." Lily hesitated, her hollow eyes studying Chloe. Then she gave a slow, solemn nod. She floated over to her swing and sat on it, her anger gone, replaced by a child's hopeful melancholy. Chloe raised her camera. She focused on the sad little girl on the swing. The loud click of the shutter echoed in the silent park, and the flash erupted in a brilliant burst of white light. In the flash, Lily's form glowed brightly, and then, impossibly, she dissolved into 1,000 tiny points of light, like a constellation of fireflies. They swirled in the air for a moment before fading into nothing. The swing she had occupied swayed gently one last time and then was still. The oppressive atmosphere lifted. The park lights flickered back on. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Chloe slowly got to her feet, clutching her camera like a holy relic. She walked to the gate. The chain and padlock were gone. She pushed it open and stumbled out onto the sidewalk, not daring to look back. Later, in the sterile safety of her apartment, Chloe frantically downloaded the photos to her laptop. She clicked through them. The golden hour shots, the twilight shots, until she reached the very last one. The photo was perfectly composed. The swing set was empty, bathed in the eerie glow of the flash. There was no sign of Lily. Chloe stared, a wave of relief and confusion washing over her. Was it all in her head? A waking nightmare born of exhaustion and shadows. She leaned back in her chair with a long sigh, catching her own reflection in the dark screen of the laptop. But she wasn't alone. In the reflection, standing right behind her shoulder, was the faint, translucent figure of a little girl, and she was smiling. A soft, happy giggle echoed through the apartment. It wasn't in the park anymore. It was in the room with her.
To support this channel, please like this video and subscribe the channel.